Hi, right, I just wanted to actually do like a fill-in thing. Um, on Sunday during the Covenstead Live, I had a bit of a glitch again. OBS crashed, and I was halfway through answering a question for somebody. And I thought I would actually answer it here in full because it's kind of an important question, and I think it's something that a lot of people actually might benefit from. So the question really was revolving around the person has a long-standing relationship with Hecate, and they just find that all of a sudden just can't make that connection. So did I have any advice on how to correct this or how to help with this situation? And I started talking about crossroads. Go to a crossroads, find a crossroads, connect with Hecate at the crossroads. But sometimes this isn't that easy. You may live in a city where trying to find a crossroads, which isn't like heavy traffic or something like that, you can actually sit down at and try and connect with a goddess or something like that becomes very, very difficult for some people. So there are some options. First of all, you can create an artificial crossroads. It's not the most ideal thing, but at a pinch, if this is all you have available, then go for it. So to create an artificial crossroads, two main methods that I prefer. The first one is to create what is often called a quincunx. So it's a 5 point figure, and in the center is 1 point, and then you have four more points creating like a square. This is the squared circle aspect. So each point then connects with the cardinal points, which draw in energy from the four directions into the center. You create a crossroads. So you can go in that direction. One I like to do is actually just stand quietly in a nice quiet spot, and create the axis mundi through yourself. So you are the tree, the axis mundi, the rod, the above below, this line of energy which is flowing through you. And then I usually face east when I'm doing this because I usually start with the east. So what you do is you kind of breathe out, and as you breathe out, you from your center you project a line of energy straight out to the east, and then you just let it go on and on and on as you're breathing out, and it just goes on into infinity. And then at some point, kind of like finish with your breath, and then you pause, and you just it's almost like waiting for a reply from the universe or from the cosmos. And at some point, you're going to feel like you need to pull it back in again. You need to breathe back in. And obviously, you're going to run out of breath at some point, but it's not really about that. It's you breathe out, you kind of pause, and you wait. And then that moment comes where you need to pull it back in and draw it back in. So you then take a breath. It's like a long but sort of forceful breath that you then pull in, and you pull the energy into you from that direction. And that comes in and it hits you in your center. And then you go to the next point on the compass or the circle. Um, I go to the north because I go from east to north because that's the direction of the sun for me. I'm in the southern hemisphere. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you probably might want to go from east to south. But then you don't turn, just stay standing facing east and just stay still. But then what you do, you do the same thing. You push out your breath and you push out this line of energy which goes out to one of the sides, depending on which way you're doing this. And then you just let that go out into infinity. And as the breath ends, you take a pause, and then it's almost like you grab it, you pull it back, and you force this, and this energy then comes back and hits you in the center. Go to the west, do the same thing. Go to the last cardinal point, do the same thing. And then what you're doing is drawing in all of this energy, and you are at a crossroads. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. But another way you can actually view this is to go to a liminal point. I mean, that's really what crossroads are in this sense, is they are liminal between spaces. A crossroads is between the mundane and the magical, or the spiritual, or the astral, or whatever terminology we're going to use for this. But there are other liminal or between spaces. A doorway is a between space. It's between this room and another room, so it's not actually in a room. Okay. Um, Technically speaking, you can say half of the door frame is in one room and half is in the other room. But magically speaking, spiritually speaking, the doorway, that there's a threshold. That's another term we often use in this, is a threshold point. And that threshold is where it's not between where it is between things. It's not of one side or the other side. Okay. So what you can do is put one foot in the one room and one foot in the other room. Now, because it's such a mundane thing, you may not feel anything, you may not get anything, because you are consciously connecting this with just standing in two rooms. You walk through this doorway every day of your life. How is this going to be different? So if you don't get anything, try something outside. Find a tree that has some heavy shadow and put one foot on the shadow and one foot in the sunlight. Okay. Or fantastic one. I mean, you can do this to work with Fae as well, if you want to go down that route. Just make sure you properly educate yourself in proper etiquette and things like that. But stand with one foot on the bank of a stream and one foot in the water of the stream or a river. A really good one is to stand. It actually, as far as I know, it has to be a natural bridge, not a man-made bridge. So if like a tree has fallen down over a river or a stream or something, and you can walk across and stand on the tree trunk, this is sort of like a natural bridge. But stand in the middle, so you're in the middle of the stream on the bridge, on this natural bridge, and that's another kind of sort of in between and natural between space. And also you'll find that rivers, streams, and such, they tend to follow the ley lines, or the fairy trods, or again, depending on what terminology we're using there, but those lines of energy that go through the earth. There's kind of like a spirit road that's beneath the river or the stream. So that's also a good one. So there's all these various liminal between spaces that we can actually find and use and connect with various different beings, in this case Hecate. Trying to get that connection again, trying to kind of strengthen the bond even, is go to the between space where you will find those spirits. This Hecate is a goddess of the crossroads, a goddess of liminal spaces, is a liminal deity. So going to those liminal spaces and calling out is a very strong thing to do, a very good thing to do. But I know for myself in the past, the question of crossroads and things like that have always come up for me. Trying to find those spaces in my environment, where I live and things like that. Sometimes I've found them, an actual crossroads that I can go sit down at, and if you're going to do particular crossroads work where you are getting rid of something, or trying to destroy something, and you need a crossroads to get rid of the items of the spell working, then going to a busy intersection where all the cars are flying by, that's actually quite handy. You just throw it into the middle of the road and all the cars destroy whatever it is. It's one way of working on a particular thing. But if you need to sit down quietly and try and connect with the spirit at a crossroads, and you find yourself at a busy intersection, you're not going to really get that that silence and that stillness. You can, but not always that easy. So trying to find a crossroads, which is especially a natural crossroads, very difficult to find sometimes. So anyway, what do we do in situations where we have this difficulty? We find these various liminal spaces, and they are between spaces. As I said, between sunlight and shadow, between riverbank and or stream bank, riverbank, whatever, and the actual water. Have a look for those between and liminal spaces where you are between things. You can get quite creative with it sometimes, but hopefully it helps, and hopefully the person who did ask the question, I was hoping they would come back. My OBS crashed. I did go live again for part 2, and my OBS crashed half an hour again after that. I'm trying different software next week, or this coming week. I was hoping the person would hop back on, and I could, finalize the answer I was giving, but it didn't look like they did. So I thought I would actually answer this generally, because this is something which a lot of people can take advantage of, and yeah. Hopefully they see this. Okay, so anyway, that's it, and have a good one. Cheers. Bye bye.